though we just had a video out on it, because what is happening right now, all this wait for 10 years for full supervised, unsupervised, full self-driving, for the world of autonomous transport, all of these things are now coming to fruition after all this wait time, after all the delays, and people are actually unhappy. Isn't that weird? Isn't the human mind and the human spirit a fickle little thing? And it's important for us, when we are looking at the stock and generating alpha, to look through the emo noise and understand what's actually going on here. And what is going on is that we are witnessing the world's greatest revolution in transportation over the last 100 years in real time. And I want to just give you this one example today and talk a little bit about the Robotaxi tracker, what we are seeing, cybercab production, and keeping track what is happening right now. So look at this. Hi everyone, by the way. Look at this. And of course, the critics, the naysayers, the bears are saying, Joe, you're ridiculous. This is 25. Waymo has so many. Well, of course Waymo has so many. Of course the Chinese claim they have them. But we know the story. We know that they're all not having the right technology. They cannot scale. They have all kinds of issues. They are band-aiding and taping their way to pseudo-success. Whereas Tesla is preparing true massive scale with an integrated cybercab production, with an FSD end-to-end neural net system that actually works, that is vision only, and all these things you need to make it happen. And now we are seeing the scaling. So why is this so important? Why am I so excited? Why am I actually happy that no one gets it? Even though we will get in a second to the question if people get it, because look at the stock price. I give you a little glimpse. What is even happening today? I was depressed this morning when I looked at my big bet. I'm very, very short puts, a lot of short puts, 380, 375, 372.5, and 385. I'm stacked all the way for a sideways movement, slide up movement until May 1st, tomorrow, and May 4th, and so on and so forth. So down here, I was like, ouch, this hurts. Oh, we are really getting into territory that hurts, but I'm staying firm. I actually doubled down a little bit. I doubled down here when I saw I'm on the right side of the V. But why was I so confident? That we are way too low, that we only have to go up right now, even though everyone is a depressed little emo right now. Because when you look at this, when you let that sink in, that big robo-taxi situation that everyone mocks, also down here, Houston, Dallas now, with 3 each, I think. 3 each. You have to connect the dots. You have to connect the dots. You see that the cybercabs are rolling off the unboxed method conveyor belt that doesn't exist anymore. You know what I mean. I don't know how to describe that, but it's a non-conveyor belt. These shiny, glossy little things, so beautiful. Tracked by the great Joe Techmeyer, the other great Joe, as I say. He films all these things. They're rolling off these things out of the Gigafactory in Texas and Austin, and we are seeing these 10, 12, 15, 20 cybercabs per freaking day rolling off that line themselves because they're self-driving, and then being shipped all over the great nation, over the great United States. We spotted one in Massachusetts today. Can you believe that? Someone shot a photo in Massachusetts. Took me a long while to learn that weird state's named Massachusetts. So now we have cybercabs in Illinois, in Massachusetts, all over Florida, in the Bay Area, of course, all over Texas, in Phoenix, maybe even in Georgia. So we see that rolling out everywhere. We see the Robotaxi tracker going up. And why is no one getting it? Everyone's like, oh, we are so delayed. Joe was wrong. He said 1,800 unsupervised Robotaxis by April or May. Well, I said that is my best bet. We are now starting to roll out. And at this pace, we are probably just a few months delayed to get to this crazy inflection point. Even if we are 6 months delayed. For my forcing function, who cares? If we hit 1,800 truly deployed robotaxis, unsupervised and full operation, that is an easy $600, $700, $800 share price. Okay, so I don't care if that's in 6 months, I will be more than happy. What counts for us is to not drop the ball, to not be little emo babies, to not go with the flow where all the retail investors suddenly, normally they're on our side, now they're all freaked out on earnings, and it was the institutional investors of everyone, right, that they actually held firm after earnings and said, you know what, good earnings. They came out this Monday and said, you know what, we are amping up our prices mostly, keeping them stable, the share targets at 500, 580, 600. So the institutionals this time actually held the line and said, what do you want? I don't care if someone said Elon was down in the meeting. I didn't even see that. The numbers were great. They beat earnings. And the biggest thing of all, Robotaxi, the big cash flow booster, is kind of happening. What do you want? Who cares if it's 6 months delayed or 3 months delayed or even 9 months delayed? What is clear is this thing is now actually happening. Look at this. These are cyber caps. More and more without a steering wheel, by the way. They're manufactured and put on the road without a steering wheel. Why do you think is that? I wonder why. So all of this looks very good. I just came out, by the way, tomorrow. You have to watch the video tomorrow that's coming out. There will be a little bit of promotion in there about Pioneer Reserve and what we are doing there. And that will be interesting. But it's a video on the method of Pioneer Alpha, which is very cool. I can give you a quick glimpse into it because you are the best. You are the live viewers of the Pioneer Academy. We are doing a little mini Pioneer Academy today on Thursday, even though it's not Sunday. Normally on Sunday, go to pioneeralpha.org and follow us. But I give you a little glimpse of the video tomorrow that's coming because that is a very cool video where I explain exactly what's happening. Look at this. I skipped through it quickly. I don't give you the whole thing. But I'm presenting this method where I'm explaining exactly how I actually generate our alpha. Not just mine, but also you, if you're an investor like all of yours in the Pioneer Alpha bonds. Here is why we beat the market so nicely in Tesla. I put it into a better understandable method. And that is also the purpose of my videos, to just convey where I am on all these different points. It starts with understanding long-term. What is even happening with Robotaxi? 5 to 10 year horizon. What is Tesla? What are they doing with, what is Elon's long-term first principle plan? What do we think about it? Maybe Elon is wrong sometimes. Who knows? We have to look into it. We have to understand what are Elon's first principles. We have to do the economic modeling. You know, my Tesla model, SpaceX model coming very soon. By the way, we are building a beautiful, great team. Very smart cookies on our team, powered by AGI. We will give you the best space model for space AI ever. And refine the Tesla model, of course. Then, once you have an understanding of the long-term horizon, the next step is, okay, triple baby steps. You have to get to the stock price. But first, you do a prediction of a 12-month horizon. One of my favorite little exercises. They're all my favorite. Understanding is great, but prediction is the next thing. You have to understand catalysts, forcing functions, timing probabilities, delays. So here we are talking about 90 days to Optimus version 3 release. We have to also talk about cybercap and everything I just said to understand where are we at. Are these strong catalysts? What is happening in the next 12 months, in the next 3 months? What is likely to happen? And then this is the tricky part. This is not the easiest to explain. But once you predict, then we get to the meat, to the true Pioneer Alpha meat. We need to pinpoint within a 4-week, in the next 4 weeks, sometimes even the next week, we need to pinpoint future share price. And of course, if you're a beginner, if you're a little investment banker or something, a little trader at Goldman Sachs, if you're like someone who doesn't get it, you say like, Joe, this is impossible. Well, guess what? It's not impossible. We do it every day here. You have to pinpoint the stock price in something I call probabilistic scenario constellation, which means I'm not saying Tesla goes to 400 next week. I'm saying the most likely scenario is it goes to 400. Okay? And then the next question is, how likely is it? And the next question is, what is the second scenario? The second most likely scenario. Right now, I'm saying Tesla most likely goes to 400. Yes, I believe that. The second most likely right now, it stays flat or goes up a little bit, which is less likely, but still reasonably likely. And then the third most likely situation is that Tesla actually runs up to 420 or more because something happens, because we have a catalyst. And the least likely, number 4, is it drops below 370 and stays there, or maybe towards 360. Now you say, oh, Joe, you're so stupid. This is like you say it's going up or sideways or down. It's like, no, you did not listen to what I just said. I said you need to put that into order and put probabilities on each of them. And my probabilities are, it is most likely going to 400, but it's secondarily most, like after that, second likely, going to go flat. So I'm biased towards the slight upside and flat, and then much, much less likely it goes to 420, and even less likely it goes down, because we're too much down. Once you understand that, I'm giving you all the secrets, but you have to watch the video tomorrow. I'm much more in depth. Then, once you have pinpointed your probabilistic scenario constellation for the next 1 to 4 weeks, you can engineer your alpha. And what does it mean? Now we dig deep into the option situation and say, okay, we're not options traders here. We predict, we understand, predict, and pinpoint the future. And then once we have done that, we engineer our options layering strategy and hedging strategy around these probabilities. So if I believe up or slide up or sideways, most likely, vastly over 75% chance that this happens, well, I know what to do. If it's sideways or more likely a little bit up, I am going at the money short puts and slightly out of the money short puts. That gives me maximum premium. I can get $10 without even taking in the money risks. I get $10 on a weekly, just putting it at 380 short puts. Why do I like this? If it goes to 390, I still make the entire upside without taking any risks. If it goes to 370, I still break even. Okay, that's why this is so much smarter than buying the stock, because if the stock goes down, you just lose money. If the stock goes down with me, I make money. If the stock goes up, I make more money. If the stock goes flat, I make money. I only lose money if the stock goes down a lot. And then I can lose a lot of money. So that's the deal. And so that's why you don't do that always. You definitely don't do that when there's total volatility and total downside risk. When the stock is sliding down or falling down, you're not touching this. But here we are stabilized, we drop too much, we have to go up, beautiful for short puts. And that's why people say, Joe, you said Tesla in earnings is going to go sideways after earnings or even slightly up, but it went down and you claim you made 5% alpha. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because my engineering is so good that even if I'm slightly wrong, I totally win. That's how we want to do it. I only lose when I'm really wrong. So you have to avoid being really wrong. And you have to understand, don't take too much risks when you are not reasonably confident. That's why these probabilistic scenarios are very important. Okay, now I stop. I don't want to bore you too much with this method. It's actually not boring. I want to go back to the share price. Martin said, I can't afford the margin for short puts. Well, I can give you some hacks, but you have to be cautious. I don't want to give you too many hacks. I don't know what account you have, but if you're allowed to do short puts, you can give it a little try. You buy, so the margin works like that. If you go short put, you have 10, there are like 100 shares. They don't want to give you one short contract because they say you don't have enough margin. You can cut your margin requirements by going long puts. You go long puts out of the money, try it out, be cautious, because there's a reason they're not giving you the margin. But if you want to go from here, for example, at 375 short put weekly, right? They don't allow it. Then just buy a long put at 350. You can even be shorter term. You have to manage this whole thing. Maybe if you're a beginner, just do the same expiration. So if you're 1 week out, you want to have a 375 short put here, you can just buy a long put for the same duration at, let's say, what would I recommend here? 340. So you pay very little premium, maybe for like 80 cents or whatever. 340 is 1 week out, maybe 80 cents. but your 375 gives you probably $5. And so then they allow you to do it because you're cutting your margin requirements down. Crosby asks if I'm German. Yes, I am. I can't hide it. My accent is giving it away. Interactive brokers. Yeah, try the long put situation, but be cautious. We are all Germans. We are all Germans. Aussie. We have a joke in Germany about the Australian Austauschstudenten. It's a very funny joke. I'm not going to go into that. That's a political video. I posted today on X about Björn Höcke's interview. Very funny and burned. I called him the Joe Rogan of Germany. Some Germans got mad, some leftists. Let's see. So this is happening. And I told you I was very sure on my trade. Today I feel very good because in the beginning I was scared because I was clearly positioned here for what I exactly said right now. I was positioned for this stock going very quickly back to 380, at least not falling below 370. And of course, it's always scary because I'm very, very exposed right now because I'm very bullish on my prediction, very bullish on this prediction that we are not going much deeper. And if you're very bullish and you engineer it right, you have a lot of exposure. And if it goes down then, at 368 or something, I'm hitting like the point where my premiums are really burned up and I'm going hardcore into losses. So I don't like that too much. I can't afford too much. At 365, I have to pull the risk trigger on some of that, which is always painful. You still can recover that relatively easily, but then it's not fun anymore. So I stayed put, no pun intended, and then this happened. So it's a very good day today. And if we end up above 385, not too much, hopefully. My strategy also requires this thing not to run too much. Otherwise, I have to take action to not lose out on alpha. Right? So if your short puts at the money and it goes up too much, you're losing alpha, which means you make money, but you would have made more money if you go all into the stock. So then I have to stack and keep selling these puts at higher strikes. No, he sounds like he's from New Jersey. Exactly, that's a funny joke. I can say coffee, give me some coffee. I lived in New York for a little bit, but that's it. That's all my New York accent I have. Joe, do you still think Tesla is going to come out with a flying car? Yeah, I mean, we are promised a flying car. I think so. Let's see. How does Joe Rogan stand among the great Joes? Well, hard to compare. Joe Rogan is in a different industry. He's not in the Tesla or stock industry, so I can't compare him to the other great Joes. Why not call in the money calls instead of selling puts? Isn't it safer? No, here's why I don't like it, young dude. I love your name. I feel like what's this Karate Kid? I feel like the old Japanese guy. Let me tell you, young dude, 80, what I think. No, I don't like, I actually never like calls, and here's why I never go long calls, with the exception of the leap roll strategy if we really fall too much, or if we go on an insane run, and I think it's a truly insane run, then calls are the magic, of course. But generally, calls have a problem. In the end, the stock market, when it comes to what I think about it, is a probabilistic and statistical game. It's like a casino. In the end, it's statistics and probabilities. And the problem with going long options is that you put the odds against you. Because most likely, here's my magic trick, most likely you are wrong. Tactically, very short term. Most likely I'm wrong, everyone's wrong. So most likely you can't exactly predict it. I'm pretty good in actually predicting it, but let's assume for now I wouldn't be good. I would just be a monkey, the monkey random throw dart thing, right? And so you want to be in a position if you have no signal in your predictions that you actually make money. And if you go long options, you always pay the premium. You are always on the losing end of randomness. You always pay more then the stock is worth, even to the downside, doesn't matter. Because whatever you have, the option makes you pay more money than it's worth. There is no scenario where you buy an option and you pay the exact amount that it's worth because you have the time. Even in the money calls are expensive. The opposite is true if you go short. If you go short options, you always put the odds on your side, because if you're a little wrong, you still make money. If you're a little right, you make a lot of money. If you're neutral, you make money. You always make money unless you're very wrong, then you can get killed. So I rather bet on me not being completely wrong than having to be completely right. Okay, if you're long options, you have to be completely right, not a little right. You have to be completely right. If you're even not right, you lose money. Whereas I make money if I'm not right. I'm only losing money if I'm very not right, if I'm very unright. That's the situation. Rogan is a meathead. I mean, there is no debate about that. He's clearly a meathead. I mean, just technically, not like, you know what I mean. He has no hair. When you sell, here's a question. When you sell a put and the underlying price drops close to your strike, let me put this up so I'm looking actually up into the camera. Bing, bing, bing. How do I do this here? When you sell a put and the underlying price drops close to your strike, when do you typically start rolling the position, and how far in advance of expiration do you usually roll it? Well, I'm doing very short-term puts, of course, because I want to get the churn. I want to actually take the time value all the time. So short-term is good when you're short. That's hard to tell. Like, it depends. It depends on many things. So it's very important. My strategy with options is that I'm actually not an options trader. I do exactly what I described before. I have my methodology. I predict the future. I predict the stock price first. Okay. So if anything happens that moves against me, I think through the stock. I think through the stock, what is the most likely scenario here? And then I make my options decisions. So I have no firm rules on the options. My rule is at any point in time, I need to predict the stock. If it moves against me, I have to predict, okay, why, and is this bad, and does it break my thesis, or is it just a test of my nerves? That's how I decide. And that is true both when I put on a position or when I de-risk and change my position. Always substance first. I always first predict the stock and the future before I touch the options. I don't do options trading or option strategies. That's stupid. The options are just an instrument to reflect my conviction. And my conviction can change any second, obviously. But it doesn't change based on the options price. It changes on the situationally. So I can just, I can just share my approach to it. Always first think about substance, future, reality, pinpoint the stock price, and then think about, okay, what happened here and what is most likely to happen next. And then once you have conviction, you can actually model your next options move. The 1,800 inflection point, is that for supervised or unsupervised? So it's not an inflection point, by the way. It's a forcing function. Just be accurate. An inflection point is something more vague. An inflection point just means, well, the stock inflects and runs. That's more like art than science. The 1,800, it doesn't matter if unsupervised or supervised. Probably more unsupervised for cash flow reasons, but why I call it a forcing function is at 1,800 in my calculation, you have an annualized free cash flow addition to Tesla worth 5% of the entire free cash flow of Tesla of 2024. And why I call it a forcing function is because at that point, any analyst, the most stupid analyst in their basement, can be dragged out of the basement and forced to upgrade the stock. There's no doubt anymore. So 1,800, probably unsupervised, because if there would be I wouldn't it doesn't matter too much as long as you have a sufficient share of unsupervised in there. Cybercap has too many regulation hurdles in order to scale. They are going to ship it with a steering wheel as an affordable model. Eventually, they can be used as a robotaxi. I disagree, Crosby. I think there are no big hurdles in regulations. Look at the United States, look at the top 7 states in terms of regulations. You can just roll them out. There is no regulation. It's self-regulated. In Georgia, for example, in Arizona, even in Florida. So even in Texas to some extent. So I don't buy into that. I think CyberCap is a total function of FSD functionality. How good is this thing and does it actually work? And if it's good and works, they can just scale it. It's not the regulators that are the problem. It's solely Tesla and the technology. Of course, there are jurisdictions like California, New York, that are much more complex, but we don't need them for now. So Crosby, I think it's purely a technology function. We had some more news I want to just get into, and then we have to already sign off again because I need to go to the city in a second. But we also have this. This is another crazy thing people don't talk about. Look at this. Tesla Semi. No one even talks about Tesla Semi. This is ready for production. There it is, the first production Tesla Semi, and there's already the second. This is called a production line. It's not just going to be one. This thing is now working. And as I pointed out before, when you do market analysis for Robotaxi, I think it's multi-trillion dollars worth of TAM, but it assumes it needs some assumptions for Tesla CyberCap. The assumption is it eats deep into car ownership. It replaces public transport. Rideshare alone, replacing Uber and Lyft and all that kind of stuff in taxis, doesn't get you to trillions. In order for CyberCap to actually make trillions, it needs to eat deep into car ownership. It needs to replace people owning cars. When it comes to the Semi, that is very different. The Tesla Semi eats into an existing market of trucking that is absolutely enormous. Trucking and trains. That is an absolutely enormous market that is just there for the taking with zero competition, zero autonomous competition. Now, I don't know when it happens, the autonomy for trucking, but it's kind of easier on the highway. It's just higher risk. So I think this is happening. Here's my prediction. It's happening in 2027, the autonomy in trucking. And the Tesla Semi is now ready and will deploy, I don't know how many thousands this year, but a few thousand. And this thing is so profitable, you can't even believe it. So people underestimate what's going on there. And that's what I like about Tesla. They have so many little irons in the fire that if one gets delayed, who even cares? This is all completely ridiculously transformative. So just want to point this out. There is big things happening. Okay, a few more questions before we wrap it up. Tesla semi-trucks is a really big deal, 500 miles. Yes, absolutely. This is amazing. Currently, we are on track to reach 1,800 unsupervised September, November. Just extrapolating the current growth, assuming exponential. Yeah, young dude. Love the name. Yes, look at the Robotaxi tracker and look at CyberCap production. That's another, one of the most confidence-inspiring facts for me was CyberCap production timeline and the fact that it's actually happening. What do you think? If you manufacture hundreds of CyberCaps and then thousands of CyberCaps probably by June per month, what do you think is happening with these things? So it tells us that is the best piece of information to actually put a tight timeline on the rollout. When you sell a put, here's a question from Julian Cretulescu. When you sell a put and Tesla drops below the strike price you sold, do you accept assignment and take the shares, or do you roll the put to a later exponent? I never take assignment, or if I take assignment, I sell the shares right away. When I use options, I don't want the stocks. That's why I use options. Why does Wall Street always sell when a company wants high capex like Meta? That's actually stupid. I posted on X about this. They said Meta is spending too much on capex and dropped it 2 quarters ago. Now Meta actually spent less and they dropped and said they're not spending enough. So Wall Street is just being stupid right now. They're emos. They're completely confused little emos and make enormous dumb mistakes. And normally their mistakes are our alpha, but I'm not in Meta right now, even though I'm very bullish on Meta, by the way, but there are just better opportunities right now. But if you don't know exactly what to do, Meta is definitely, Meta, in my opinion, is a guaranteed win. Cybercap plus Optimus 6,000 with 2030. What about Tesla plus Tesla Semi? I have this all built into my price. I'm actually getting a little bit more conservative. I will come out with a price below 6,000, but then plus X, because let's just tone down the timelines a little bit. I'd rather be a little low and then have to upgrade again. And the plus X is the SpaceX point. Because I think the whole space situation is just insane. People see this is insane what's happening. Do you short Tesla? No, I short puts. That's the opposite of short. So put options make money when Tesla goes down, but I'm shorting the puts for many reasons. Do you expect robotaxis to double every month? Well, now we have to differentiate between unsupervised and supervised robotaxis. So I expect robotaxis to double every 2 weeks or something, the unsupervised. We are at 25 now. So I think this is happening. This is a very big deal. We can take a final look at Robotaxi here just to make this point. This is the most exciting, decisive chart we have to watch. This is what you have to look at. This is the exciting piece. Now we have 3 in Dallas, 3 in Houston, 19 in Austin. These are unsupervised, and there will be soon cybercabs. I don't know how many cybercabs actually. Probably no cybercab is actually in real operation, commercial operation. But that is what's happening. So, final look at the stock price. That was an excellent day today. If the stock keeps rising tomorrow, I will have to stack my short puts to not miss out too much. But if we end up above 380, I will have a huge alpha week. Huge alpha week. Okie dokie. Thank you, everyone. That was fun as always. They said next month X payments will be launched. Do you expect Dogecoin to grow? Well, this is my last comment for today. I don't know who said that. Who said that? Was it Paul Tudor Jones? Some very smart dude. Some of these Wall Street people are actually smart. They're not even Wall Street people. They're like smart macro traders. Paul Tudor Jones is a very smart cookie. Druckenmiller is also very smart. So what I think Paul Tudor Jones said, someone did an analysis that I totally share, that 95% of the entire crypto gains can be captured with Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's what I believe. Some people hate me for that because I'm not a big believer in Solana. I think it will be the big ones winning. I think Bitcoin is store of value. I think Ethereum is the rails for Wall Street, for the future of finance. I'm not a big crypto geek. I just love that stuff, but I look at the money. I think Ethereum and Bitcoin is where the money is, literally. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for watching. That was fun. Tune in tomorrow for the method video. Tomorrow it's going to be good. I explain Pioneer Alpha. This is an important video coming out. And then, of course, on Sunday, go to pioneeralpha.org. We have our academy. You can subscribe or whatever you can do there. And on Sunday, we do another live session to review the world. Thank you so much, guys. And see you then.